March 27th, 2018. Went to my first FTD support group. Stephanie came with me. Lots of sad stories. Aside from Gary, whose wife has both FTD and ALS, everyone else is older.
Hello and welcome to the Remember Me podcast. I'm Maria.
And I'm Rachel.
And we're your hosts.
And we're very happy you're here with us today.
Remember Me is dedicated to preserving the memories of those affected by dementia and the families walking alongside them.
We've created this space for you to feel more connected and supported.
And we hope these stories allow for a deeper understanding and a sense of belonging.
And to shine a light on our motto, accept the good.
Always, always accept the good.
This is Remember Me.
So Meg, we're going to continue your story, and you have a special guest that is going to be joining you because he is a part of your story. Will you welcome him over to the podcast?
Yes, I'd like you guys to meet Gary, my husband.
Hi guys.
Hi Dad.
Thanks for inviting me, Meg.
Meg.
I like your kitchen.
Surprise. This is something.
Today we are here with
my dad, Gary, and his beautiful, amazing wife, Meg.
Thank you.
And
welcome to Remember
Me. Thank
Isn't
you.
it welcome back from me?
Yeah, welcome back to you.
And Meg.
And welcome back to Meg, because everyone just heard her story, and maybe you want to watch on YouTube so you could see this brilliant cinematic thing that we did where he walked into the frame. So, Meg, you did a beautiful job in your episode sharing the end of Bob's life, and I really want to hear about your life after.
Your life needs to continue. Tell us what happens. What do you do? What does your life look like? But most importantly, if you could tell us what it feels like, we would love it.
Yes. So after Bob passes away, even though you have this anticipatory grief, it hits you in such a different way because now it's final. Now there's no more anticipation. It is real and it is over. And you have this feeling of relief in some strange way, but then your whole life turns upside down and you don't know. I couldn't see a future. I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how I was going to get through every day. I'd wake up in the morning and say, oh my God, how am I going to get through this day? What am I going to do? How can I live without him? How can I put the pieces back together? How can I find something to hope for? So I took off for Hawaii. Literally, I had booked a flight maybe a week after I buried Bob. I booked a flight to Hawaii and I went to visit a friend who lived on the island of Kauai, and she was a widow as well. She had lost her husband to a brain tumor. So I thought, you know what, maybe I should spend the holidays with another widow who knows exactly what I'm going through. So I spent about a week there and then came home and realized that didn't help. That escaping to Hawaii didn't make me feel better. I just dreaded the return even more, back to reality, back to my life without Bob. So after the holidays, early January, I'm just going through the motions and I'm using every ounce of energy I have to get through the day. And
are you working?
I feel like, yes, I had gone back to work.
Okay.
Yes. So I feel like I'm walking this fine line between keeping it all together and just losing it. And you just keep plugging away. And I'm not sure how I made it through. I'm assuming it had to have been some things I can't remember. And I don't know if it's a safety mechanism that you don't remember everything that happened. But I would have to say it was friends and family that just pulled me through and just kept checking in on me. And 4 months after Bob passed away, my brother passed away of colon cancer. And we buried him on March 17th, and then the whole world shut down for the pandemic. And then a few days later, I lost my job. And so now I was grieving not only the loss of my husband, now the loss of my brother. And now I'm all alone in my condo, grieving by myself without any interaction with people. And I was devastated. I was in such a dark place that I didn't know how I was going to get out of it. And I didn't know what to do. And I found myself just like sitting for hours, what felt like hours, just staring out the window of my back deck into the forest and saying to myself, how did my life get here? How did everything change? What did I do? Like, what do I do now? How do I survive? And again, I would have to say it was friends and family just pulling me through. And thank God for Zoom. I was able to have that connection, although not in person, but still having that connection to people kept me going. And thank God friends and family would be checking in on me. But it was still a struggle to be by myself, quarantined,
Right.
and grieving the loss, of both my husband and brother.
And then you became a beach bum.
Thank you. Yes. Then I decided around April, May, after sitting in that condo, realizing I need to get out of here. I need to breathe some fresh air. I need a change of scenery. I decided to head to the Cape. So I packed up and went down to the Cape. And now I hadn't been to the Cape all winter. I couldn't. I closed up the house after Bob died. There were too many memories here. I couldn't come down. So I said, okay, I think I can do it. I think I'm ready to go back to the Cape. And I did. And I would walk the beach by myself. Because again, people were doing social distancing. So you'd see your neighbor. A lot of people ended up coming down to the Cape during the pandemic. So you'd see your neighbor, you'd wave, but you'd kind of keep your distance. So it was just so lonely still and so isolating. And it was like, oh. And so I had a friend who got laid off from her job in May. As you know, a lot of people were losing their jobs at this time. And so I said to her, what are you going to do? And she said, I don't know. And I said, do you want to come to the beach? Do you want to come down to the Cape? And so she came down and spent probably most of the summer with me. And the two of us had so much fun, thank God. And we would go to the beach every day and we'd go swimming or kayaking or stand-up paddleboard. We just had the time of our lives, and we developed this friendship that we would have never developed had we not been forced into this situation. So something wonderful came out of this. And it was during this trip we decided to plan our girls' trip. And so every year on Bob's anniversary, we would go away, a group of us, about 5 or 6 girls. And it started because of Bob, and it started because I had said I wanted to be anywhere but here when his anniversary was approaching. I said, I need something to look forward. I need a change of scenery. I need the ocean, the sunshine, the beach. So we all went to Turks and Caicos, and then we made it an annual thing. And then while we were doing that, we were developing these new bonds and these new friendships, and we're all experiencing losses. I had 2 friends lose their mothers, over the period of us going on these girls' trips. So it turned into so much more than just about Bob and me. It turned into all of us and life and how we shared things and how we lifted each other up and supported one another. And it was a necessity now. Now we have to go, it's what we need to do every year. And so every year on that trip, I write a letter to Bob on his anniversary. And for me, it's cathartic. I'm able to give him an update, on how I feel and how I've progressed, emotionally, how I'm getting a little bit better every year. So it's been a good thing for me that girls' trip.
Okay, Rachel's getting emotional, which never happens.
Oh.
I don't know how to say this. Something that Rachael and I talk about a lot with our relationship is like that we were living these parallel lives on opposite coasts.
Right,
And kind of our timeline, I'm thinking, so we're in 2020 now. You're, a year after Bob has passed. and my mom passes. And Rachel and I, our lives have kind of come
Oh, you're
together.
mapping.
I'm
You're
mapping out the timeline.
Okay.
Okay.
I see what you're
Okay.
always an editor.
Yes.
Look at her.
So Bob passes November 9th, 2019.
Yes.
Rachel's dad passes November 10th, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then my mom passes December 11th, 2020.
And you also have to say that we don't go to Turks and Caicos.
Nope.
Neither do I.
Sorry to bring levity.
So I'm just putting together the timeline, but
Yes.
I want to ask, like, because we'll kind of fast forward a year and Gary will enter the picture. But during that time, you're like a year since this traumatic loss. How are you feeling? Do you think about the future? Do you think that you'll find another partner someday? Like, are you taking it an hour at a time? Like at that 1 year mark, like,
Yeah.
what are you thinking about your life?
I still can't see a future. I'm still very much stuck in the fact that I lost the love of my life. I've lost my husband. I've lost my partner. I've lost my future. My future died with him. I had, we had planned a life together. Everything went away when he died. And here I am at age 56, 57 now, saying, what next? What do I do? I had lost interest in so many things. I had difficulty focusing. Throughout that first year, I did eventually go back to work. I started a new job, but I had no self-confidence. It really rocked me. Like all of a sudden I felt like I can't even make a decision on the simplest things. I questioned everything I did. I felt like I don't even recognize who I am. Who is this person who all of a sudden can't make a simple decision? And I hated it. I hated what it had done to me and who I had become. And I didn't want to be that person. And so the first year was a year of all those firsts. And I got to tell you, year 2 was not that much better. Year
Yeah.
2 was okay. Your husband is now a year further in your past, and you're no really better off. I'm still feeling, I still don't have a future. I still can't see it. I can't even fathom dating someone else or ever marrying again. I thought I was age 50 when I got married the first time,
Yeah.
There's no way,
Right.
this is ever. So I start thinking, what is my life alone going to look like? Thankfully I had some single friends too, who were, still single at the same age. And so, connecting with them was good, but I'm still not seeing a future. I still am doubting and questioning.
Anything like I should put myself out there?
No,
You can't even
absolutely
see.
can't even.
Okay.
So I want to know, like, Meg, you're describing like feeling so discombobulated after losing Bob, and then you had the complexity of COVID and then losing your brother, like all of this stuff happening at once, and like that kind of identity loss of caregiving and then your job loss, like
Compound
which
grief.
way compound grief.
Right.
I know, because my dad is here, that I know he felt similar feelings of like, my whole life was focused on caring for my wife, and now what? So maybe, Dad, you could explain to us like kind of how you were feeling post loss, like what's next for me.
Okay. So I'd probably start by saying that the biggest challenge I faced when Leah was alive and we were caring for her was anytime I thought about the future, and I couldn't bear to think about that. So I put it in a box and I wouldn't think about it. And when she was gone, yeah, I was devastated, and I felt hollow inside and had no idea what to do with myself. So I started making up activities and things like that just to get me moving. I joined a hiking club. I, did all kinds of outdoor activities. I figured out what to do. And to be honest with you, I felt guilty after she was gone because now I no longer had her to take care of and I could do whatever I wanted to do. And I felt selfish. I felt, oh, I can get up when I want to. I can do the activities I want to. I'm not doing it. Wasn't that I liked it. It was I felt selfish that now that was my life was, by
Survivor's
myself.
guilt
I've been
kind
married
of,
to a woman
right?
for 35 amazing years. And now, the bottom fell out and it was a new life to figure out.
Did you feel guilty that maybe you felt a little relief of the burden of caregiving?
I don't think I ever felt that.
Hmm.
It was an honor to be able to help take care of Amalia. Every day was a new journey with new experiences and new changes to her. And how can we figure out how to deal with wandering and driving cars and losing the ability to speak and eat and all that. So I was just totally consumed with that. But I don't remember feeling relief. I felt loss.
What about you, Meg?
I actually did feel relief, but not just relief that it was over for Bob, that he no longer this very intelligent and bright and fun-loving person who was slowly fading and slipping away and not who he was. And so I felt relief that he had finally was released of this disease. He's no longer struggling to talk or to walk or to function, to eat, to swallow,
Sure.
so I felt relieved that that was over.
Right.
And I felt a little guilty too, that I was like, okay, now I feel guilty that I feel some relief.
Yeah. And that I get to keep living and do the things.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
So it was very confusing, these emotions.
Sure.
It was like a roller coaster of emotions and very confusing at the same time. So
can you take us to the time that you guys kind of reconnected?
So I'm a little confused on the timeline. Could you walk me through it?
Okay. Of how they all met.
Yes, of how everybody met. Yes. Okay.
So I met Meg at the support group in 2017 or 2018.
it was 2018 because that was the first one I went to.
See, she wrote it down.
So your respected loved ones are still alive?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
They were still alive. And I think Maria and I were at the support group together. We saw this curly-haired young woman come in, frantic, couldn't figure out what was going on with her life. We sat next to her
It was a
and
mess.
started to commiserate a little bit. And we would interact periodically through the caregiving journey from the point of, us going to, a feeding tube to Meg helping her husband.
I remember asking you about, Leah's feeding tube. How did that work? Because I was considering that with Bob, even though his neurologist didn't think it was a good idea.
So we almost supported each other as a result of the support group. And we interacted intermittently, throughout that process, maybe every couple months or something like that.
It was a sporadic text every few months, like, how'd you get through the holidays? How did you get, I don't know. I do remember asking about holidays because those were tough. And so it was just checking in.
So we continued to communicate kind of in a pragmatic, supportive manner for a couple of years, from the time we were part of the support group till after we lost both of our spouses, until early in 2022, before we started dating. And I actually sent this text to Meg. I said, I just scrolled back through our text history and was surprised to see that we've been communicating over 3 years. I had 2 takeaways. The first is that you're a caring person who frequently checked in to see how I was doing. The second is that apparently I wanted to share all the highs and lows with you first. Thank you very much, Meg. I can confidently say I couldn't have gotten through this without you.
So yeah, so we
And then
we
wait.
Tea.
Meg, what did you think when you got that text? She's like, I don't remember.
I actually don't remember.
I showed it to her last night when I was preparing.
I was like, really?
I just think like what
You know,
I've
'cause
what I've witnessed is like I'm gonna try not to cry. Two people who just like were so in love with their spouses that were like trying to get through the day
Mhm.
and did not plan for any of this to happen after because their world was rocked. But I think what I want people to understand is like how you ended up coming together and like the feelings around that, and you know, like how you got to that point, just to give people hope that like there can be a life after. Is everybody going to meet somebody else who had a loved one with FTD? No, this is
Right.
a very
Right.
unique situation.
I mean,
Well,
ours is very different, but I know what you mean.
But like,
Yes, I don't think you want to assume this is going to be everyone's life.
right.
Right. But I think it's important to show that if you're maybe open, that life doesn't have to end.
Right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So let me get here. Okay. So you send this text to Meg. Okay. And then what? Meg doesn't remember. So Gary, maybe you should.
Like I said, a lot of things I don't remember at that time. 'Cause-
Right.
Then
Right. Yeah, you
the
have grief
amount of interaction started to increase. So a bunch more texting back and forth. And I was literally sitting in my daughter's house watching a football game. And it was a Nickelodeon NFL football game.
Oh,
Watching the
God.
game. And during the game, I'm texting with her, watching the game, hanging out with my grandchildren. And there was some side discussion about a Moscow Mule. And she said, I think I have fresh limes and ginger beer. And I was like, is that an invitation? And she said, yes. And so I screamed down here to the Cape at like 6 o'clock at night.
After you left my house?
I left your house.
Maybe you should have
You
left
did.
that part out.
Okay.
And I came down here and we had a nice dinner and
Just
caught up
pizza.
for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was probably the start. What do you think?
Yes. And it was very weird. I have to say.
It was very weird.
Thank
It's very
you.
weird. It
Thank
was
you.
like, I'm
We
down
want
the
to know
Cape
about
and
that.
I'm like, there's another man in this house.
Yes.
Okay,
It's not
okay.
Bob.
I think I want to hear the
Okay.
real.
Okay.
Pretend
Yeah.
I'm not here.
So it
Okay.
was very weird. I remember like we were sitting on opposite ends of the couch. Gary joked that I had all these pillows
You
piled
put
up.
like 5 pillows in between us. I'm like, what do you think I'm going to do here? And she says, those are my pillows of protection.
So you guys are just
No,
in-
that was later that I said that. I didn't say that to you that night. I kind of joked. Those are the pillows of protection. No,
me
so
more.
so he comes down, we have a Moscow Mule, we eat some pizza. I heated up some pizza, and I don't know, did we watch
We watched some bad TV
or something?
Yeah.
But it's like
And it was-
two old friends catching up.
But
yeah.
but not really. 'cause
Well, we
it
weren't
was-
old friends per
Right.
se. We
They
were
friends.
They were
people
both
who had
like
gone through a similar experience.
veterans
and
of
we
war.
was-
knew each other a little bit.
Yes, it was the shared experience that sort of drew us together, and we shared a lot. And I remember that night we were talking about the experience. I
Oh, yeah?
remember getting emotional.
Okay. So
Um,
it was surrounded with FTD.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me
Yes.
ask you something now. We'll go back, but let me ask you something now. Is your life together now surrounded by FTD?
No, it's not surrounded by it.
But it is surrounded by our spouses.
Correct.
If you were to look in our living room and other places, you will see pictures of Amalia and Bob and us together because we found it very powerful, rewarding, soothing that we could talk to each other
Yes.
about our spouses without it being like, oh, that's my ex or my late wife or whatever. This was actively part of our conversation all the time was the experience that we went through, the people that we loved, and the people that we are because we love them.
Yes, it was such a unique and horrific experience that most people will never go through.
Mm.
And so that was the bond that drew us together. And we talked a lot about that experience at the time. We still talk about FTD, but it doesn't surround us. But what does surround us is our loved ones.
Yep.
Leah is still here. Bob is still here. What I love about our relationship is that we can talk about them all the time. And neither one of us feels weird about it.
Yep.
Let me ask another question
I love
real
that
quick.
too.
I think it's beautiful. Okay. Do
I'm
you
not here.
think I'm not going to ask something like that? Do
Okay.
you think if this was a divorce, a simple divorce, or a breakup, you would feel differently? Like, do you
Yes.
think what I'm trying to get at without asking it so aggressively is like people say misery loves company. That's why you guys are together. That's why you guys have such a good bond. You guys are miserable. Do you feel that?
No, I think that shared experience is what drew us together, but there had to be more than that to keep us together.
Mhm.
So from that grew love. And so
Here, Meg,
first, I think
I'll pass it in and you knock it down.
Yeah.
Can I
Gosh.
interrupt with one thing too?
Of course.
So the other conversation I remember that we had all the time was that we wanted to have adders in our lives, not subtractors. So it's all about figuring out how to have the best life moving forward.
because we know how short life is. And we knew that going forward, we just want to be with people who add to our lives, who make us happy, and to sort of stay away from those negative people, the subtractors we call them.
Yep.
And so
We should
that
start
was our
using
goal.
that
We're going to
phrase.
surround ourselves with,
Okay.
the people who love and support us.
Okay. I think that's beautiful. I wanted to get a little insight just for the listeners, but I also want to go back to the couch and the pillows and all that because I want to see how it unfolds. So thank you for both sharing that. I think it's an important piece, and maybe we should take a quick break.
Yeah. And we'll be right back.
Okay.
Hey, you guys, we're really glad you're here. We want to take a quick sec to talk about someone doing something really meaningful in this space, and that's the Progranulin Information Navigator, or PIN.
You've heard us talk about PIN before, and for good reason.
But do they only focus on patients who know they have the progranulin-related FTD?
That's a great question. The resources they have related to clinical trials are specific to progranulin, but the folks at PIN think it's important for everyone to have access to trusted resources and genetic counseling and testing to understand if FTD in their family is genetic. That's why they offer free genetic counseling and testing for patients diagnosed with FTD. Their mission is simple and powerful. No one should have to navigate FTD alone.
Navigating this world can feel like too much information, not enough clarity, and all of it is happening while you're carrying so much.
Speaking of, we're actually working on a special episode in partnership with PIN just for you to answer all of your burning questions about genetic testing and research.
So if there's something you've been wondering, this is your moment. Check the show notes for more info on that.
And get connected to clear, reliable information about clinical trials and free genetic counseling and testing. Visit progranulinnavigator.org.
Or just click the show notes.
Thanks to PIN for supporting our community and our work at Remember Me.
Just pretend we're on the phone.
Okay, I'm doing it.
I'm on a walk with Benny. Pretend.
Okay, I'm
Benny.
pretending.
Benny,
Okay.
sit.
Okay,
You're
so what?
such a good boy.
Oh my God.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm not a huge podcaster. I listen to Goop sometimes.
Yeah, you send me the goop. Okay.
I listened to this one called Remember Me. Anyway, I didn't know what Patreon was before you told me.
Subscribe to like 5. I'm not just saying this. I appreciate that content creators want, to fund their work.
I
Okay.
agree with you. So Patreon to me is probably something very different than it is to you. But to me, it's like, in Cruel Intentions when she goes, secrets aside, like it feels just like you're behind the curtain a little bit more. Like you get a little bit more raw footage, you get different tiers where you could join at, comfort levels of cost and what you want to know about us.
Yeah.
Like it's very cool.
We also spilled some tea sometimes. Sometimes, all the time.
You're always like, don't tell people that.
It's
don't
a little bit more of us. And, not everybody wants that. But if you do, or if you want to support the content that we make, okay.
But you get like behind the scenes and stuff.
Yeah, the Three Stooges content, the Two Stooges.
But then it's also more writing, right?
Yes, Rachael writes beautiful stuff in there. Mm-hmm.
You host events. Like it's just cool. It's just a cool space.
It's just cool.
There's a book club. I don't know. Just join it. Try it.
All right. People can go to the show notes.
Okay, go to the show
notes. Or you can go to patreon.com/remembermecommunity, or you can download the Patreon app and search Remember Me. We'd love to have you in there. It's a great
Can I say one more thing? Just one more thing.
Okay.
If you're like me and you don't know Patreon, you could also go to our website.
Yes.
Right? And there's a link there. So
yes, perfect.
Multiple ways to find us.
All right.
Join.
We're back. Okay. Okay. So take us to the pillow protection and like what you say, okay, this was fun. And then what?
It was extremely awkward sitting on a couch down here, and he's not my husband. And I don't know if this is a date. I don't know what this is. It's friends. Is it going to be more than friends? I don't know. Both of us, I think, went in with no expectations other than we both agreed it was weird. And, Gary, you had been with Leah for 35 years, sorry. And me with Bob for 18. That was, long time, especially for you. And it's like, how do you even date now? I don't know.
Right.
So I didn't even think of it as a date.
Right.
I thought of it more as I'm happy to be with somebody who who understands, but also just spend some time and relax a little bit. And
you're happy to be with another person, I think is what you guys are both saying.
And so Gary spent a few hours and then you left and drove home in a snowstorm.
I did, yeah.
Wonderful. So glad you did that. Be safe.
Okay, right? That was not nice.
I asked her, how would you let me leave with a snowstorm?
I would just like to interject as, third party here, witnessing. Like, I remember meeting Meg in the support group, and I was probably one of the only children of FTD that went to this support group.
Yes.
So I was already kind of like an outlier, but I remember being with Meg and being like, of the room of, let's say there were 20 people in it, I felt like she was the most similar to us in her approach. Like I saw just from the get-go, their ages. They were the youngest. They seemed about the same age. And Meg was like, I'm about to take Bob to Hawaii. And my dad would be like, well, I'm taking Leah to London. And like they had a similar approach to the care. And then I think one of the reasons why I fell in love with Meg is I felt her love for Bob like so strongly. Like, and I don't know, maybe that made the whole situation later on like a little less intimidating.
We're not at you yet.
Okay, I'm not trying to make it about me.
We have questions for you.
I'm just saying they weren't just like two people in a support group that both went through the same thing. There were also people who approached the journey the same, and I feel like they loved their person in the same way and cared for them in a similar way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It feels like the care is
it
feels like you guys are on the same.
Yeah, because everybody approaches a disease very differently, right? But I, as just a spectator, was like, oh, they're similar. And this is
Okay. So you guys are both kind of like awkward adults learning how to date, and I wish I don't wish to go back in time a lot, but I wish I could have seen that. Okay. And so when does it shift from like, to I have feelings for you? Do you
I think
remember?
it happened
Meg, do you
pretty
remember?
quickly.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I don't remember exactly. I remember after there was some more texting back and forth, and then we agreed to meet for dinner.
Yeah, something like
I
that.
think,
Maybe later that week or the next week.
yeah, it might have been like the next week we agreed to meet for dinner. And then I think I cooked you dinner. So we just started having more conversations and getting to know each other better and getting to know beyond our FTD experience.
Okay.
We got to know each other as people before FTD.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And our families and sort of the family dynamics. And then through that, then I started to have feelings, and I was like, he's a pretty cool guy, this Gary.
Did he like
So
Dave Matthews?
I'll add a different story.
Okay.
Real quickly. I'll tell it differently. So I remember maybe the next week I went over and we watched, what was the show with the soccer?
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
So we watched Ted Lasso. So I'll tell you two stories. So went over, watched Ted Lasso maybe a week later, whatever.
Yes.
And made dinner and, and that kind of thing. And then I remember coming home, maybe at midnight or something to my house in Bedford. And my youngest daughter said, "What are her parents' names? And give me their phone numbers." And then about 6 weeks later, I came home to Maria's house and stayed overnight, which she was just up the street a little bit. And she said, "What are you, a teenager?"
Parentified child.
I know.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So Gary, what are you telling Maria? What are you saying? Remember the curly hair? Do you not tell her anything?
Well, she knew Meg, but we talked about it. How far do you want to go with this one, Maria?
Let's go.
All right. So, we're maybe a month into this relationship, and I'm talking to Maria, and she asked me, "Are you going to get married?" And I was
Everybody who's a OG
I remember,
listener knows that I have anxiety and I want to know what's going to happen next.
and I believe my response was, "I have no plans to get remarried."
Oh, yeah. And then my husband, former attorney, said, "Great answer, Gary." Leaves a little room there. I have no plans to.
But the relationship was getting stronger every day. And by the time 3 months or so came past, we were coming down to the Cape every weekend together and, starting to look at our life in a different way.
Right.
Can I ask,
started to have,
maybe illustrate for people, what your days were like when you weren't with Meg, or Meg when you weren't with my dad? What I'm getting at is, I know it was hard for you trying to fill your evenings. I know you were lonely.
Yes, very lonely.
So
it gave me something to look forward to. It wasn't all dread now.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I was actually feeling lighter and happier. Grief was still there. It was just changing shape and maybe less severe, but it was still that grieving and missing Bob was still there, as I know it was with you, with Leah. But then we were both like, our spouses would want us to be happy. They would want us to live our lives. They would not want us to die with them. They would want us to move. I don't want to say move on, but they would want us to move forward, to pave a new path, to find a new life, to create a new future. That's what they would want. And so while it was still, again, very weird to be dating someone, to be with someone else other than Bob, it was still exciting too, to feel alive again. That dark cloud was starting to pull away, and I could start to see some light coming into my life again, and it felt good. So
to answer part of your question, so for me, I was still working full time, COVID, in my office set up in my bedroom. And so I do remember that part of my day was sending texts to Meg at different times just to connect.
Yeah.
And we couldn't necessarily, get together because of time, distance, and all other things. And I remember one time that to have a date, I ordered Chick-fil-A and had it sent to your house.
Oh, really?
And you got me hooked on Yellowstone. We watched Yellowstone together.
Yellowstone, yeah. So we started doing these goofy little things back and forth.
Yeah.
Me? Can I? Or you have one? Okay. So you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. You're hearing from your dad that he's busy and he's, I can't come over tonight and I don't want to, and I'm doing this and I'm down at the Cape, and I know the answer. But
I know you know
for
the
the
answer.
listeners, what is it? What are you thinking? What are you communicating with him how you're feeling?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I
And
think you would
There
say
was a
yeah.
letter involved.
There was a letter?
Yeah.
I don't recall. Disclaimer, I was on a lot of fertility drugs at the time, so I can't be held responsible for
Yes.
everything.
right.
I think that, how can I say this? So I would say about a year after my mom died is when this all really, started to take shape. And for me, I had lost my mom a year ago. And I know my dad had lost his spouse a year ago, but he really had lost her years before. He hadn't had a spouse in many years. So for me, it felt like this is way too soon. But I think when I really started to try and put myself in his shoes through the help of loving friends and my godmother, I don't know, I just started to realize that, I don't know, he had to live. I had a partner. I had a life I was building, and I wanted him to live. And I think the turning point of acceptance for me was one time my dad and Meg were in our living room, and they were just kind of jokey and talking about what they were going to do in retirement life. Like, okay, we're going to go sell like ferry tickets on the Cape, and we'll ride our bikes, and Gary will do the parking, like put people on the boat and direct traffic, and I'll be the ticket lady that says what one way or round trip. And they were like going back and forth and like saying this, and I just had this like a light bulb of like I want my dad to live and like have a life, and like he has a future, and like there's joy. And I just think that the timing, I was just so deeply in my grief that it was hard to handle any other changes,
Right.
I think it was hard for me along those lines too, because I recognized that my adult children were probably looking at me and saying, hey, why are you spending so much time with somebody else and not with us?
Right.
Yeah.
I could attest she might have said that. But okay, and what did that feel like
For me,
for you?
it was a constant feeling in my stomach of kind of stress about, should I do this? Not should I do this? What's the impact on these people? What's the impact on Meg? And what's the impact on me? And how do I live my life? And so I would say that in general, the logjam there was broken, about a year in or so to our relationship. Some of it's residual, but it was always stressful.
And with your relationship with Maria is the one I'm focusing on. Do you still feel that way? Do you still feel that balance?
Not at all. In fact, I believe that Meg's the favorite person in the relationship.
She did say that before when you were playing the ukulele in the truck. She did say Meg was the number one grandparent.
I think like the message of this episode that I want to make really clear is just like, you
may feel hopeless in whatever stage of the journey or grief that you're in, but like things can change, and there's hope, because I definitely think it was really challenging. Nobody, I'm so surprised. Is it challenging, all these changes? And I never thought I'd sit in a home that my dad owned with another woman.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what? But like, over time and processing and moving through my grief of my mom and the grief of like the changes of our life, like Meg has brought so much to my life and to my kids' lives that I'm just like, adders or subtractors. Like, Meg is like add a million, to our lives.
And Maria, I feel the same because I didn't have any children with Bob. So here I am experiencing grandchildren, something I never, ever thought, and I'm having a blast.
You could be honest. We
So-
know Brennan. We know Brennan. Okay.
She gives into his every desire.
Yeah, but these are joys I never imagined I would ever experience.
I just think
So
people need
it's-
to be open to
Right. I think so too. But I want people to also know it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
And there's work
No.
and there's
Well,
feelings.
know.
And there's
What
Yeah.
was it like for you, Rachel, to hear me talk about the same thing over and over
well,
for
the people
2
that you would
years?
talk about are sitting on the other side of that camera, so I'm not going to tell you. But
It's all open kimono,
I
isn't it?
think I remember the first time I went to Meg's house. I will never forget that ever in my life. I will just say, I think my hope for this episode is to, yes, all of that, but I think to highlight, like, this isn't something that you bounce back from. You are forever a different person. I believe. Maybe not everyone believes that.
No, you are.
I also think one like chance meeting opened up this whole experience and something that is beautiful in its own right. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So back to the relationships.
Okay.
What do you think, Gary, giving everything you've experienced, if someone were to come up to you and say, my wife just died and I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, what's one piece of advice you could offer or share?
So one piece of advice I would give is that I understand where you are at this point in asking that question, and being open to a future that maybe isn't the future you thought about 5 or 10 years ago is really important. And there are people in this world who will support you in changing your life in a positive way. And don't feel like just because your spouse just died, now it's just a matter of you dying.
Good one. Meg, I have the same question for you, but I wanted to follow up with something. What would you say to somebody who is having a difficult time introducing someone to their family? And
That's
you
a great
can think
question,
about
Rachel.
that.
I mean, you only know the background on this one.
I
I would say, as somebody who's conflict averse, I would tend not to be brazenly open about things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that not being fully open caused more problems than I was hoping. And I would say you need to do it delicately, but at the same time, be proactive in sharing how your life is changing and who you're spending time with, and not keep it a secret.
Great answer. Okay. Meg, what would you say to somebody who came up, oh my gosh, my husband died 3 weeks ago and it's doom and gloom?
That's hard.
I want to add another
No,
topic if I can while she's thinking.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
This
go
is
ahead.
gonna be great
that
to
is
edit.
this, that,
Just kidding.
my wife and I never had this conversation. And so I felt in some ways I was rationalizing to myself about this, what I'm going to say, which is that if I were in Leah's position, Leah was in my position, I would have wanted her to be in a relationship. But we never had that conversation. So in some ways I had to work through this rationalization that, yeah, I'm the guy who's getting into a relationship and I'm approving it. Would she have actually approved it? So I think it's really important to recognize that as you go into this, it doesn't mean that you love your lost spouse any less.
No.
As you decide to embrace a new relationship. And I believe that the heart can expand. There's not just a finite amount of love in your body.
That's what I say too. The heart has an infinite capacity for love, thank God. But I would say to a woman who's newly widowed, that I would say your future is different, but to remain hopeful, to be open to a new future. I don't know what the future is going to be for you, but to be open and hopeful that it can and will get better.
Okay. So I think I want to just give you guys an opportunity to share, like, I know there's a lot of like guilt and judgment and moving forward, as you so beautifully said, Meg. So maybe, is there anything that you wish people understood about like moving on or moving forward with your life, that you think is maybe misunderstood or judged?
Yeah. I think moving forward doesn't mean you forget, that person is your loved one, your spouse is like, I hate to say the word like, but imprinted in your heart forever. They're never going anywhere. They're always part of you. I feel like sometimes Bob is physically part of me at times, and I feel like I will never forget him. I will never not love him. But like I said, the heart has an infinite capacity for love, and I love Gary too. But it doesn't diminish or change the love I had for Bob. I think it just adds to it. And this, I don't know if you feel the same, Gary, but I feel so lucky to have found two loves. There are people who never find one. And how lucky am I to have found two people to love? I think that's pretty amazing. So
Meg is rocking this.
So answering the same question, I would say I am very appreciative of the people who completely embrace our relationship. I was most nervous about explaining this to my sister-in-law and my wife's best friend. And they were so supportive.
yes.
From day one. There was no question about, well, isn't it too soon? Or, what are you doing? So I'm very appreciative of that. I would love to be able to share Meg with everybody in my ecosphere so that they could come to love her like Maria does.
Oh, thank you.
They would be lucky too.
Thank you.
Sorry. I just love Meg so much.
I know, and I love you too, Maria. And like I said, with Gary came this family. I never thought I was going to, I didn't think my family was going to expand.
Yeah.
And so there's so much more love and support now to go around. It's just pretty amazing. And I love that our family members are bonding as well.
You and Zach and Mike.
I love Meg's family too.
And I love the fact that I have grandkids and it's just,
I think that's such a good like visual you guys are kind of like creating of like, it's not like, okay, now that's over and now this is a new thing. It's like everything's just growing. Like the love is growing.
That's
or it
right,
has
Maria,
a
that's a perfect
capacity
way.
to, if you can, I think we had to Rachel's point, like move through the grief of it all and embrace it. And like I had to embrace a life that we all did,
Right,
you know, we
right,
all
right.
do. We have to like embrace this new, nobody thinks that this is going to happen to their family, that they're going to lose their loved one in this traumatic way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all have to just be open
Mm-hmm.
to what can come. And sometimes you have to do like hard work to just like move through it,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know? Again, like that's kind of why like I bond, like, I don't know, it like disarmed Meg a little bit to me, just like how much she loved Bob, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
It just made me feel so connected to you, Meg, because I felt like united in like grief too, because I felt like you were grieving so openly, and like we had so many good conversations on the beach and like of just like what we've all been through, you know? And I don't know, I just feel really lucky of where we are now.
Me too.
I don't know how you want to tie this one up.
We wanted you guys to end on, I don't know, a little more hope. So Meg, you mentioned that you have written these letters to Bob every year on his anniversary, and I know there's a special one that I have asked you to read for this episode. And so I think it'd be beautiful to hear that now.
Okay, great. Every year on Bob's anniversary, I write him a letter and I read it to him aloud. I'm usually on a beach somewhere when I read it. I'm going to share with you an excerpt from last year's letter from 2025. Dear Bobby, it's been 6 years since you died. My head is still spinning from all the changes this past year. A year of changes, shakeups, and moving out of my comfort zone. I am letting go of so many things that were weighing me down. I needed to start a new phase in my life with Gary. I needed to loosen my grip and in some cases completely let go of the old life and create a new one. I loved my old life, but it no longer existed, and that was hard to accept. I was forced into a new life, and it was such a dark and lonely place for so long, but now I have a new life, a new love, and a new future. I am blessed to find love again and to crawl out of the darkness and despair that kept me from truly living. I can finally start thinking or dreaming of my future. What a long and dark road that was. I never want to go back there again. My grief is part of me now and always will be, but it's lighter now. It does not consume me anymore. It does not define me or control me. Gary and I got married this year. I know that if you had to pick my next love, you would have definitely picked him, as strange as that sounds. You would really like Gary. I can even see you guys being friends. You are alike in some ways, both kind and loving to your friends and family. Hard to believe I got remarried, as I never thought I'd get married once, never mind twice. It was a beautiful day, surrounded by the people who love and support us, and a giant step down a new path for me. I can finally dream about my future again, something I could not do for so long. I can finally think beyond the next day or week. I finally have hope again, something I could not say for years. There's a PS to my letter. I wrote it while I was on the beach. I thank God for all my blessings this year. I thank God for all the people who were in my life but are no longer here. I thank God for bringing Gary into my life. I ask that my anger be swept out into the sea and dissolved into the vastness of the ocean. I hope it can. I have hope again.
Here is a letter to the disease that took my wife. I didn't even know your name. You snuck into our life like a thief in the night. You did your dirty work slowly and methodically, taking away the most important person in my life. Her name was Amelia. She was an exuberant soul with a joyful laugh, a talented artist, loving mother, and the center of our universe. When I first heard your name, I was completely stunned. I proceeded to watch you systematically take Amalia's ability to organize, create art, then her fundamental ability to speak, to eat, even to breathe. All while you stressed the very fabric of the family that supported her. But we did not give up without a fight. We did our very best to maximize Amalia's life, living life on the move, continuously adapting to her changing world caused by you. You are ruthless, but you are not invincible. You may think you can, but you will not defeat me, because I truly have hope in the resurrection, and I know that love never ends. I pray the researchers find out what allows you to destroy the brains of beautiful people and cures it, so that someone in the very near future never has to learn your name.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode.
If you want to learn more about Remember Me, you can go to remembermeftd.com.
We also love getting new Instagram followers, and you can follow us at Remember Me Podcast.
We're also building a space just for you at the Remember Me Foundation. For more information or to donate, visit remembermefoundation.org.
This podcast is produced by Maria Kent Beers
and Rachael Martinez.
And the beautiful music you hear is a song called So Damn Lucky by Bailey Kent.